Okay, we've done a lot of practice with regular integer exponents, and now we're going to talk about rational exponents and roots. Let's start with square roots first. So, if we know that x squared equals 16, then x is equal to the square root of 16. It could also be the negative square root of 16. So we know we want to go backwards from this. What, when multiplied by itself, gives us 16? So the square root of 16 is 4, and another solution to this equation is actually negative 4. When we're talking about square roots, we're talking about the principal square root. So if I simply write the square root of 144, I mean the positive number that when multiplied by itself gives us 144. So positive or principal root. Okay, so for this case, it's 12. Okay, so take that same reasoning towards cube roots. For cube roots, we use this notation. It's like a square root sign with a little 3. So let's think about 8. So we want the number that when we multiplied by itself 3 times gives us 8. What number is that? That's 2. Because 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. In other words, 2 cubed is 8, which tells us that the cube root of 8 is 2. They're inverses of each other. It's something we do a lot in math. Okay, so the same thing as you go up in roots, right? So if you go to fourth roots, let's talk about how we could find the fourth root of, say, 81. So we need a number when we multiply by itself 4 times equals 81. And it's the same thing. We're going to look for the positive number here. So just think positive number. So something to the 4th power equals 81, right? So you might be able to figure out in your head, 3 times 3 times 3 is 27 times 3 is 81. So the 4th root of 81 is 3. And likewise, 3 to the power of 4 is 81. So you're going to do some quick exercises in both square roots, cube roots, fourth roots, and even fifth roots. It'll get a tiny bit trickier when you have decimals or fractions. So let's just talk about that for a second. So suppose I want to do the square root of, say, 4/9. Well, remember, we still want something that multiplied by itself equals 4 over 9. Well, to get 4, we've got to do 2 times 2, and to get 9, we've got to do 3 times 3. So the square root of 4/9 is 2/3. Let's do another example here. Suppose we need the square root of 1/16. We still want the number that when multiplied by itself gives us 1 over 16. What's that going to be? Well, 1/4. 1/4 times 1/4 equals 1/16. Okay, let's do a cube root. Okay, so I need a number multiplied by itself 3 times is going to be 0.008. So the first thing I do is just try to think about it without the decimal places. So I know that the cube root of 8, we talked about before, is 2. So let's think about how I'm going to get 3 decimal places here. Well, I know if I do 0.2 times 0.2 times 0.2, that I'm going to have 3 decimal places in my answer. So if I'm multiplying all of these, I'm going to get 8, and then I have to have 3 decimal places. So 1, 2, 3, 0.008, which is what this is. So the cube root of 0.008 is 0.2. Okay, and similarly for other roots. Let's talk quickly about rational exponents. Rational exponents are just like roots. It's just another way of writing it. So if you've got a square root of, say, 4, this is the same as 4 to the power of 1/2. And if you've got a cube root, say, of 8, this is the same as 8 to the power of 1/3. Okay? The 4th root of 16 we write as 16 to the 1/4. Now, truth be told, it doesn't always have to be 1 over something, but for right now, that's all we're going to accomplish. Okay, so when you see 4 to the 1/2, you should think, what's the square root of 4? That's 2. You should think, what's the cube root of 8? Well, that's also 2. And I made all of these 2 for simple examples. Okay, so you're going to have some quick problems in Khan Academy that deal with all of these notes. And if you get stuck, make sure you let me know.